Welcome back, friends. Kind of rounding out some thoughts on how to have a Catholic culture within the domestic church. Um, saints books, right? There should be plenty of saints books in the home, both written for children and written for adults. Mark Twain's biography of Joan of Arc is, I think it's his best work.
Yep.
Yes, as well as all those little uh, St. Joseph books or whatever those were of all the little saints with their pictures.
We're so enamored by the Marvel, right, and by DC Comics. We're so enamored by these artificial facsimiles of heroes, and yet we have saints, Saint Joseph Cupertino, who could fly. We have Padre Pio, who could bilocate. We have, I mean, you name it. I mean, there's nothing in the lexicon or the history of our church that is not wondrous to behold. And the beauty of that wondrousness is that it's real. I mean, sure, certainly there are certain fantastical stories, right, that have no maybe bearing in reality. A little bit of hagiography that goes beyond what some people might be willing to permit, per se, but not because it's not possible with Christ. If these things were believed, it's only because the innocence of the faith of the people who believed them was that with Christ all things were possible.
That's right.
And I was just going to say, if you want to give your kids heroes, the saints books are eminently more beautiful and lovable, because not only do your children get to meet a saint, like who doesn't want to believe that St. George slayed a dragon, right? I mean, who does not want to believe that? And yet once you're done telling the story about St. George slaying a dragon, and maybe in your older part of life you start to become aware that, okay, maybe there wasn't an actual dragon, and maybe there was. I mean, I'm not going to say that there wasn't. I mean, G.K. Chesterton is like, well, why shouldn't we believe in a dragon? I mean, it's as real as a car, right? More real, right? If you have a conversation with a dragon, you can't have a conversation with a car. But your child is left with a friend. I mean, an authentic friend, not one who is artificial or is not going to show up on the day of, to rescue you from the snares of the devil, right? But a real friend who will be an advocate for you. One who's present, who is enjoying the beatific vision. And these are things that I just think we've lost so much. We put our hope in artificial heroes and in artificial liturgies. All are counterfeit, and yet we have real steak. You don't have to eat, pebbles.
That's exactly right. There should be, I would suggest, holy water fonts at the doors. And with all that's been going on with fonts, holy water, and whatnot these past year and a half, really highlights their specialness. Yeah. You bless your children and your grandchildren. Family pilgrimages, night prayer. We've recently incorporated blowing the shofar and Trappist incense. I was at a prayer meeting with some friends, new friends now, and there was the use of incense within the prayer in the home, and I was so taken with that experience that we've. And yet, you're right, I had to keep my wits about me, because you start looking for incense and this sort of thing, and you can quickly track into a dark place.
You can, yeah.
So, but again, we're back
even to that. There should be, I mean, I know that, people don't want to believe, well, maybe hope against hope, that Satan really isn't real, and that he's not prowling around the world seeking the ruin of souls, right? I mean, we would like to believe that. And that's the same thing I heard an exorcist, or someone referred to an exorcist, saying that almost all the candles that you buy, the beeswax candles that you would buy online, need to be brought to a priest to be blessed. They must be, because you don't, unless you know that you're getting them from a specific religious source. But just buying candles from a basic place, Satan knows the power of a beeswax candle, and so consequently he wants to corrupt them. The same thing would be true, like you said, about the incense. Incense can certainly lead you down a road of Eastern mysticism if you're not cautious with that. And so we have to be wily. We have to recognize that that these things are beautiful, that they're good, that they're true, and so consequently, because they are an affront to Satan, and he will do anything that he can to corrupt them.
That's correct. So I got to know some Trappists, at least online, and
yes,
a variety of scents, and it's all good. It's all good, but right, you got to be
a beautiful
nice.
way too that we can support the works of the church, right? I mean,
Right.
there are a large number of religious orders that make beeswax candle, that sell products like that, or that sell wine or sell beer. You know, I mean, we buy a lot of our beer from the monks of Nursia, and I just discovered a lovely winery in France. I mean, those beautiful products don't come cheaply, but they, you know, in France and in English, I think that we have the term cher, which can both mean dear and expensive, right? To hold something dear is to mean that it has value to you. And so when we're looking to bring these things into our home to support the works of good, holy people who are trying desperately to build up the church with their bodies, is also a really
It's a
it's a
wonderful.
good way to give money to the church, right? It's a good way to enter into your tithe.
It absolutely is. Pilgrimages. And so this should be, so this line, it should be highlighted. Ask the Holy Spirit to enlighten you as to what to incorporate in your home. And believe you me, he will tell you. So there should be special prayers or holy images at the table. Sometimes on the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, we have a cross on the table as a reminder of that day. Don't underestimate the prayer, the power of the prayer before meals,
Right.
night prayer, and the family rosary. And Sarah was very much involved with the well-focused Mardi Gras.
Indeed, for many, many years. Yeah. Yeah.
And right, it is, or Saint, we would make Saint Nicholas cookies. So I think the Christmas season is a particularly easy time to incorporate. So we make Saint on December 6th, and I'd attach always a little bit of a paragraph on the importance of it. And kids would bring, at least my grandchildren who are in public schools, they can bring candy canes to their public schools on that day. They call it cultural and enrichment of international customs.
You know what I think is really interesting, because you know, all of us, anybody who visits Facebook knows that we live in a world of rituals that's been given to us by Hallmark.
Which, yes.
And like I can't even tell you how many times yesterday I saw people on Facebook posting their, you know, happy National Daughters Day, and here are my beautiful daughters, and oh, and happy National Sons Day, and oh, here they are, or kite flying day, or whatever. Like, I mean, the world wants ritual. They want the beauty of these customs, and the Catholics can't be beat. You could, there's basically a fast or a feast going on, you know, weekly, bi-weekly, that you could find. I mean, there's any saint that you want to celebrate. The church literally gives us a calendar of saints, and you can't plumb the depths. You cannot plumb the depths. I mean, you know, we know what 5%, 10% of the canonized saints, right, have a big enough name that people know them. I mean, and in the modern culture, I mean, you know, poor Saint Patrick, right, has become, you know, the patron to drunkenness, right, and debauchery, which is so unjust to him. When conviviality, right, when conviviality, and I mean, Catholics, we have beer. You know, our Lord did not even bring out the good wine until all of the inferior wine was gone. Right? I mean, so it's not an issue that we don't know how to celebrate. But we have been trained in America, and really in the past 45, 50 years in Western culture, to sacrifice our Catholic feast days for a secular counterfeit that's been given to us by Hallmark.
It's right. It's right. And All Saints Day with the little children dressed up going to a nursing home, singing songs and having a party, in my mind, beats Halloween any day of the week. Any day of the week. But right, I had to find other families. We had to bond with them and organize and so forth. The church is an extension of Jesus through space and time, and it must incorporate a rhythmic pattern of fasts and feasts, penance and prayers, always culminating in a joyous celebration. Our Lady of Sorrows, which is it the month of October?
No, Sorrows that doesn't that follow the cross?
Yes,
Yeah,
excuse me.
September 15th. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Excuse me. In September, gives way to Our Lady, Queen of Heaven.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I invite you here in the season of fall, a perfect time to reclaim our patrimony, if only within the walls of our domestic church. It's a very Benedictine type of thing
It is.
to have a seasonal flavor to a Christian culture. Take the time to incorporate Christian customs in your life, and like the fall garden, you will harvest a bushel of graces. You know, start. You just start, and before you know it, you'll have a lifetime of good
Right.
things.
Yeah, you can't plumb the depths.
You can't. You can't. You can't. It's just, it's just a beautiful thing. All right, my friends.
Oh, can I add one thing quickly? I just want to add one thing. In regards to fasting, and this is just, something that I mean, many people may know, but it's very important to add that there's a reason why the church, when she presents fasting to us, presents it in a trifold concept of prayer, almsgiving, and fasting, right? Like all three of those things are one, and you really you can't just fast because that's dieting, right? And to pray without charity, right? Without giving almsgiving, or without charity, or to fast without those things. So when you enter into these days of feast, that's one of the things that it pointed out on that beautiful Marian feast day of the Assumption, that they would eat the grapes, right? So you have a small meal of grapes, and you would pray, but you would also give alms to the poor on those days. So even if it's the smallest of sacrifices that you make up, the smallest of almsgiving, make sure that you unite that day of of fasting. Maybe write one check to some religious order, and it doesn't have to be a lot. $2, $5 from the widow's mite comes great blessings. So I just wanted to add that.
Outstanding. Outstanding. All right, my friends. Till then, to the next time, Fides Irachio.